Good afternoon, everyone. It's Howard Gearhauser with my dad, Dr. Richard Gearhauser. In today's video, we wanted to talk about some of the benefits coming out of this lockdown, this coronavirus situation that we find ourselves in. So I just took my dog for a walk out in the park, and it was really amazing to see all of the people out there also walking their dogs, doing their workouts outside. Some people just laying on the grass, people walking around barefoot, people getting their sun exposure, which is not very usual for a weekday around here. Normally it's pretty empty in the middle of the day. But we thought it was kind of interesting just to see how much people are really connecting with nature, being that there's not really an option to go do your workout at a gym or to go somewhere indoors. So you're kind of forced into getting outside. So Dad, what's your experience look like over there in Tucson with the lockdown?
Yeah, so here, I go out on a regular basis several times a day. So I go out in the morning to see the sunrise. I walk my dog mid-morning. I usually try to catch some midday sun. I usually try to catch some afternoon, late afternoon, and then the sunset. So I'm outside all the time. I'm riding my bike, walking my dog, or going for a walk, or going for a hike out in nature constantly. But what I've noticed in the last couple of weeks is as I go out on the road, I see people in my neighborhood I've never seen before. I've never seen them outside before, certainly never seen them walk. And I walk every single day, multiple times a day. So I see anyone who walks on a regular basis. Well, people are coming out of the woodwork, getting outdoors. So that's a good thing about this. And hopefully, if you're one of those people, you will keep this going. You'll cancel your gym membership, or maybe not cancel, but that would be my recommendation. I canceled my gym membership in order to overcome a disease that I had because I was spending too much time indoors. I canceled it, and boy, I really cut the umbilical cord. It was like one day I was in the gym running on the treadmill, and the next day I stopped that. And once I started doing stuff outside, it was so much better that I never wanted to get back on a treadmill. I have never, except maybe, at a hotel with my kids and they want to go work out, maybe got on a treadmill once or twice. And we're talking about over 10 years ago where I made the abrupt shift. And that was brought about by me having to make some tough choices and having to go deep on trying to explore what were the root issues relating to my problem, to my health problem. So once I solved my own problems, I started using that on patients. And I wrote up this thick packet that was the exact protocol that I was doing of getting out in the sun multiple times a day. There's more oxygen when you're out there. The sunlight is critically important. We've learned that circadian rhythm is the king of health. Our circadian rhythm is the king of health. It's how our physiology is orchestrated, by God or by nature or by evolution, whatever you want to believe. The circadian mechanisms control it to the minutest details. And that was worked out in 2017. It was given the Nobel Prize in medicine because this is what medicine is all about. Now they're all excited about, hey, we're going to develop drugs that'll have an impact on the circadian rhythm. So the pharmaceutical companies are all happy. They have a target that maybe will make their drugs good instead of make their drugs practically worthless and lots of side effects. It could be that drugs could be helpful, but the reason they're not is the way they develop drugs is kind of a lock and key mechanism of throwing different things and trying to reduce symptoms or biomarkers instead of thinking, well, what is the cause? So when they find the cause, circadian mechanism mess-ups are the causes of most diseases, and drugs can move the circadian system one direction or the other. So the drug companies are excited, but it's so much simpler than that. We don't need drugs for this. We need to get outside, and then when we're inside, mitigate it. So we have tons of people going outside because you sit inside your house or your apartment, you start feeling cooped up. You're not having the stimulus from like if you're going to work, you have all those stimulus of the traffic and interacting at work. And now you don't have all those. So you kind of feel cooped up and you want to get out. So people are getting outside and they have really good looks on their faces. Now, a lot of them are wearing sunglasses and big hats, and that's typical for Arizona. Man, don't do that. Don't block what you're trying to do. You're trying to get the light in your eyes. We're not going to talk about what that does, but it does lots of things, the light in our eyes, and then the light on our skin also does lots of things, all critically important for our health.
Yeah, and like we talked about in, I think it was a few videos ago, getting out in nature, especially if you're going to do your exercise out in nature, is much better than doing it indoors because you get the added energy from the sun. Also, if you can do it barefoot and get connected to the earth, you're getting the added energy from the earth itself. And then nature provides energy too in different ways. So there's a lot that you're getting by doing the exercise outside. So it's great to see all these people that probably would have been doing their workouts at the gym getting to do it in the park. And like you said, they looked tan, they looked happy, despite it being a little chaotic. It's a great time to start kind of rethinking your daily routine. And if this is something that you're like, wow, I really miss doing this, like I should do this every day, or like we do, multiple times a day, getting outside, that's really awesome. That's a big benefit from just kind of pumping the brakes on the way you've been doing things for the last, maybe dozen years, decade. I think this is a really good thing from that standpoint. Anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was riding my bike home yesterday, maybe an hour before sunset, half an hour before sunset, and this gray-haired woman was crossing the street in front of me, and she crossed, and I have this urge to like interview her because this is a person I've ridden by this spot at that same time 1,000 times, have never seen this woman, but she looked all decked out, big sunglasses, sun hat, shorts. I just wanted to kind of interview her and say, have you ever walked? You live around here. You ever walked in the neighborhood before? Are you planning to maybe do this again? Anytime soon? And maybe I'm off. Maybe I'm wrong that she walks and I've never seen her. I don't see how that can happen. I'm outside so much. I know every single person that walks, that's around this neighborhood. I know who they are because I'm always out there in between my breaks from working. So it would have been interesting. And then I would have put in my 2 cents for, did you know humans, never wore sunglasses for millions of years of their evolution or after they were created? They never wore sunglasses. And that's something that has just started recently. And that started about the time we started having epidemics of heart disease and cancer and mental illnesses and Alzheimer's. That's when we really, put the sunglasses to work in the last, 50 years or so, when all these diseases now are a complete epidemic. Is that cause and effect? Not necessarily. But you put a tarp over an orange tree, the orange tree will not get orange blossoms. Orange blossoms are going on right now. I can see them in my yard from here. I also see grapes, little tiny, tiny buds of grapes. So I've got grapes and orange blossoms. The oranges will be ripe next December. So the orange blossoms aren't going to come out if you put a tarp over that orange tree, because an orange tree uses photosynthesis to make the orange, okay? We use photosynthesis in a slightly different manner. We have animal photosynthesis instead of the plant, which is the chloroplast, which is a mitochondria-like structure that makes energy from sunlight. Well, we have different molecules that do it. If you ever look at hemoglobin, so hemoglobin is what's in our red blood cells, you'll notice if you go in the sun, your skin kind of turns red. Well, it's your body bringing your blood to the surface to absorb. Hemoglobin absorbs UV light. Well, the hemoglobin molecule is an exact duplicate of the chlorophyll molecule. They're exactly the same. They're both light traps. The only difference is one's green, chlorophyll, one's red. And the reason one is green, one has in the center of it magnesium. That's the chlorophyll. Magnesium has a green color. And then hemoglobin has iron, and iron has a red color. So we use photosynthesis just as much as plants. I mean, that's what's being found on the cutting edge of science, is that we have mechanisms in there that we haven't even figured out. Melanin, the stuff that makes us tan, is another way that the body does photosynthesis. Just like with chlorophyll in plants, that an electron is cleaved off of melanin. So melanin may be another big source of energy. And there are actually books written about that. You know, it's a theory at this point. It's a hard thing to prove. But a little story about a turtle. So a turtle, you know, has a shell, and a turtle can, when they hibernate, they bury themselves under the mud of a lake. So the turtle buries itself in the mud under a lake in the winter. And the turtle can stay under that mud for 4 months and never breathe, never take a breath. And still their heart beats that entire time. And when spring comes and it warms up, they start breathing again and come back to life. Okay, what is that shell full of that allows this miracle to happen? 4 months without breathing, and yet you have lungs and a heart and you stay alive? Well, that shell is full of melanin. So yeah, science hasn't figured out how the turtle, you know, activates that melanin. But what has been proposed is that melanin actually reacts to even cosmic rays, not just visible light from the sun, which wouldn't get under the mud under there, like a plant, you know, wouldn't survive under there. A human wouldn't survive under there. But a turtle with melanin, and melanin can react to wavelengths outside of the sun's wavelength. So the cosmic rays may be giving that turtle energy to make it through the winter with no oxygen, virtually no oxygen, for 4 months. So humans can hold their breath for 4 minutes. Yeah, here's a turtle who has you beat.
Yeah, so I mean, this really sounds like going back to the plant with a tarp on it. You know, Mother Nature's forcing us to take our tarps off right now. And, you know, we're finally getting that sunlight. And I think we're going to be a heck of a lot healthier by being forced to go outside because we're too cooped up in our apartments or in our homes. So it's actually a really beautiful thing. Just try and, you know, look at the positives from the situation, that you get to reconnect with nature, with loved ones. Pretty awesome. I think that's it for this video, but we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Dad.